So welcome. This is our Welcome Gardens YouTube channel. So today's video is about how to plant seeds and how to grow seeds indoor. It's great to start things indoors to transplant out, because we don't know sometimes what the weather's going to be like, particularly through February and March in Victoria. So to start, I did go to stores to look at different containers and different seed trays and different types of pots that are available at the dollar store. Again, why I'm saying the dollar store is because you can still find these in your nurseries or in your garden stores or Canadian Tire, or even in your grocery stores, but they seem to be the cheapest, least expensive way to purchase, particularly 4-inch seedling pots and all the other accessories for it. So what we do have here is, like I said, mentioned, is these are called seedling trays, and what they are is you're looking at creating and putting soil in, creating a plug is what they call. So you'll fill these up with soil, you'll plant seeds, and they will grow, you'll nurture them inside, take care of them, and then they're meant for that when you're ready to plant outside, is that you can then easily be able to pop them out with your roots and then plant them in the hole in the ground. So there's different types of seedling trays, there's different sizes as well, and a lot of it is about your preference, and also how early you're going to want to plant things out. So for instance, if you were starting, these make great plugs for things like lettuce and some of your leafy greens, or your even your herbs. But if you're looking at wanting to start to transplant or start to grow indoors, quite a bit before is to really look at maybe the larger size. So it may feel like the seed is all by itself in this big huge container, but eventually it will fill the container up. Exactly. So I found these in the dollar store. This was $3, and this has a little bit larger seed tray for you. It also has,
On the bottom.
yeah, exactly. So maybe you can show them. You need to be able to look at some way that you're going to actually keep the moisture in. So a lot of them come with these trays that will fit right over. And this one is particularly nice for me because I have long windowsills, as opposed to, so I looked at this would fit nicely on a windowsill. These ones, the garden store and nurseries, they all have different types. This is made out of paper and peat moss. Sometimes they call them moss pots or peat pots. And this is a biodegradable material. It feels a lot like cardboard, and that you would then plant or start to grow your plant. It would get to a point where you're going to transplant it, and that you would then dig a hole and put this right in, and that this part would degrade. My own personal use of these is that it's quite often they take a long time to degrade, and I often will just cut it when I'm putting it in. And throw this on my compost, or throw it into a pile where it can decompose a little bit longer, or cutting out the bottom to make sure that the roots can. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to put some soil into the trays, seed trays, or into the pots that you've selected. And again, there are starter soils that you can purchase at different stores. But you can also use your own compost, and everybody has sort of their own favorite mixture that they do. But when you're first starting out, it's probably a great idea to actually purchase what's called a starter mix. And why it's called a starter mix is that it's a little looser, and it has different additives in it to allow for drainage, and that allows for the young or the seed to actually sprout and then start to produce its roots in an easier type of environment or soil. So yeah, if we'll just, again, as you have a bag, this is actually a potting mix that I found out of the dollar store. but there are other types at different stores. So what Winnie is doing here is she's just putting in soil into the seed tray.
How much?
Yeah, so to fill it up, yeah, fill it up to just about the very, very top here of each one. Okay, and just smoothing out. And sometimes there's little big clumps like this. And if you don't like getting your hands dirty, please do just wear some gloves. That's fine to do. Gardening gloves oftentimes don't give you the ability to, pick up fine things, or particularly little seeds. So just using some latex gloves or the vinyl gloves. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, so maybe we want a little bit more in here. And if there's any big chunks, which you'll get in organic stuff, just to remove them. Just so it's easier for the seed to be able to. Okay, good. Great. So I'll show one with this as well. So this is simply dipping it in and filling it up as much as you can. And then I'll show you again with this type of plastic pot. Okay, so I would fill that up. Just, if you can see, that's about 2/3 the way up. So if you can fill it up almost to the top, would be really good. And then again, if you could fill one of those up, that'd be great. Okay, so what we also have when he's doing that is, again, there's a little bit of chunkiness in there. Bits of wood. Yeah, please just take them out. I'm very messy when I do this, and but if you want, you can lay out newspaper prior to this. Doing that. So there we go. So normally this mixture is feeling a little bit moist, which is good. You don't want too much moisture for your seeds, but you do want to have a little bit. So if you do have a starter soil that is not feeling, is quite dry, you're going to have to add some water before you put the seeds in. Okay, so this one, you can see how it's kind of moist there. That's it means that it probably has a fairly well enough water in it. Okay, so you've selected your seeds, and we're doing lettuce seeds today, and we're also doing the Su Choy. Yeah, these seeds are from West Coast Seeds, and you can look them up online. And one of the reasons I'm doing lettuce in February, we're not ready to plant them out, but they do grow really easily indoors, and they're also something you can then further transplant into a different container before you put them out into the ground, so you can still be producing. Anyway, so we're going to just open up the package. And do you want to put your hand out, and we'll put some, yeah, and I'll just put a few seeds in your hand. And you can see how small they are. They're just tiny little ones, like little fennel seeds. Great. So what you want to do, and if you read the back of the package, they'll often give you really great information. West Coast Seeds does, but most seed packets will, about how deep to put them in. So this one is that you're going to sow seeds 5 millimeters to 1 centimeter, so 1/4 to 1/2 inch deep. Okay, so I have measured on my finger that down to this knuckle, but you can use a stick or another marker of some way just to be able to go down half an inch. So I'm going to use my finger, and I'm just poking in the middle and just down to where my joint comes here, but it represents 1/2 inch there, and just making these little indentations in the soil. The thing with seeds is that if it's too deep, they can't find their way up and to the surface, but if it's too shallow, they will tend to dry out. But again, it's just practice over time, and if you're feeling that you don't know what 1/4 or 1/2 inch is just to take any kind of marker or stick and just mark that, measure it and mark where it is, and just push down to that point. Okay, Now with lettuce seeds, we're gonna just drop them in, and I typically will just put 3 seeds in each hole. It's very hard to, with my hands to do that. So yeah, perfect. So you're just putting them in there. So 3 in each of those holes, and I'll make this Winnie while you're doing that. And we'll do the sorry, Troy in these ones. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with the Su Choi. Again, if you're looking on the back, sow seeds 1/4 inch deep in sterile starting mix. Okay, so it's good to follow the instructions because they're trying to help you be successful in your planting, particularly indoors. Many of the seeds you can look on the back and it'll say, start your seeds indoors 5 to 6 weeks before the frost. In Victoria, that's typically the last frost is typically at the end of March to April, but it's just to keep checking. Yeah, and then you just put your seeds back, the ones that you're not using. I'll get you to plant up 3 with the Chinese cabbage. Again, very small, little round ones. I would put at least 2 in each hole. And just remember that this is oftentimes trial and error, so not to worry, but just doing that. So then you put them back in, and again, is being able to fold them up and then fold again, or lots of people will do a triangle to make sure the seeds aren't coming out. And then you can store that in a box. What you want to do is provide a little bit of moisture, but I think this is very moist in here, so you can cover up your seeds. So go ahead and just gently cover them up, pat them down, just so they don't move around. And there's another one there. Yeah, perfect. Okay, and it's when you're planting seeds or planting plants as well, as you need or you want to provide them with some water, a little bit of moisture again. So I went again to a dollar store. These are the hair misting ones because they give a nicer spray. The other ones that are for household or for gardens often will give a very strong stream. And what you don't want to do is to wash the seed further down in the soil. So you just want to give it a gentle misting at the very tops. Yeah, just making sure you hit all those. I do a little bit more. Just make sure, yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, I think these were $1, and they make a nice twirl. Okay, and there you have where we've just planted lettuce seeds and our Su Choi, and these now will take up to often from a week to 2 weeks before you'll see something come up. And that will be another video. We'll show you once these have grown, we'll talk to you about what to do with that. Now that you do have them misted and you want to keep them moist, there's 2 things you need to provide them with. So you'll see where people will cover their plants, and then of course this tray provided a plastic cover. So for these pots, you can actually cover it with plastic film if you want. These ones fit here. And then just as it's starting to grow, is then be able to rise it up and be able to keep it moist. We'll show you that later. But what I found for these types, I actually just buy plastic cups out of the dollar store, and it creates a little bit of a terrarium. Now you're going to want to have moist or a bit of air in there as well. So sometimes what you can do is actually have them raised up a bit. So by putting some long skewers in there, and it's just sitting on the skewer, so you have a bit of that. Or what I do is I will pull them off sometimes during the day just to give them some air. The other thing you can do is to take a Ziploc bag. There you go, and you're going to you cover this one with your Ziploc. This one's probably a little bit big, or no, it should be okay. So you're just going to place it down on there. But again, you want to provide some air for it. So that you can't see. There you go, sorry. Yeah. So what I do is then I just kind of measure it, and then I just cut at the seam and place it there so that there's some air being able to enter in there. You're not wanting this, again, you'll start to see there's moisture build up, and you're not wanting it to be really wet. You just want it to look like it's a nice moist environment for it. The second thing you need to look at to provide your seeds in order to get them to seedlings is they do need light. Okay, so if you're able to place them in your on your windowsills or in a warm spot, it's a bit too cold to put them outside right now for that, or if you have a greenhouse, you're able to put them in the greenhouse and they'll start to sprout. So there you go.